Like, I think the world is evolved so much that now you don't have to be at a company to be a product manager. You can be a product manager at home. Okay, I need to figure out how to automate sprinkling water on my plants. That's a product management problem. I got super comfortable at Microsoft, where I knew exactly what to do to move up the ladder, and I was like very comfortable, super chill, work-life balance and stuff. And I was like, okay, this is the perfect opportunity to bring chaos into the system. They have an interview round called values, where they actually test you on their not test you, they have a conversation with you about their 5 core values. And that's the only round. If you fail, you don't get the job. Anything else you fail, you can still get the job. If you give your power to someone else, then you are a victim. But if you don't give the power to someone else and say, boss, I'll do my work, but I'll do it my way. And it's win-win situation. Like you see, if I'm doing something, taking something away from you, then you have something to complain about. But if I'm doing something without taking away something from you, there's no problem.
You must be thinking another pre-roll? Wait, let me just skip it. With AltUni, there are some boring things which you can avoid, like the long wait for promotions or increments, or the numerous interviews before you land your dream job. At AltUni, we make sure that you're future ready and skilled to be in the top 0.5% class. Click on the link in the description now.
This is why I told you, like, I'll connect this back to how basketball taught me one of the biggest lessons of product management. Because when you play ball, when you play any team sport for that matter of fact, like, you're always looking around to learn from the best, because that's what sports teaches you. Like, you can't be the best all the time, and you gotta like look around, see, oh, that guy's better than me, this guy's better than me and something else, and you start to pick up qualities from them. And I told him exactly these words. I was like,
I mentioned that what do you do when you go in like a company in Microsoft and then you start working with them, and as you grow up, right, what sort of responsibilities do you have to take up from scratch if you have to build a product? Say, for example, now everything that we do is product oriented. A lot of jobs are being created as well. Skills need to be developed to a lot of engineers and MBA graduates also, right? So how does it evolve in the journey of a product manager, and at what point do you start it from?
so I've always described product manager as a CEO of, like, an analogy is a CEO, but probably not as broad in the responsibility set, but more specific to the product perspective. And I'll explain why. Because fundamentally, the way I look at my role, now again, you'll ask different product managers, they might say different answers, but the fundamental thing I am there to do is to collect information from various different sources. When I say various different sources, customers, stakeholders, your company goals, your priorities, your team, your market research experts, your analysts, your competitors, all of these things. Now, this is all raw data. AI hasn't advanced enough that you feed in this raw data and something comes out saying, hey, go do this, which is great. That's why I have my job. And my job is pretty much...
What if that happens tomorrow?
I mean, then I'll find another thing to do. I'm not worried about the fact that that'll happen or not happen, because the beauty of this work is you're collecting information, and this is where human brain, I think, is spectacularly amazing at, because you can synthesize information and create insights much better than anything and anyone out there. And this is not specific to product management at all. Like, if you take an engineering role, it's the same thing. Like, there are a bunch of new technologies, there's your legacy code, there are stakeholders, there's time to delivery, there's all this information. And now anyone can do what, if I tell you do X, you can do X. Anybody can do that. But where you start to add value is when you start to take in all this information and synthesize it and create an insight and deliver it back to them without attachment. So be open to the fact that your insight might not be accepted. But the more you're able to do this, the more you can see the future. Like, not see the future in the sense like, you have some psychic ability, that's not what I mean. But you're able to see where the market's going, where the customer needs are going, where the product is going, and set a vision that inspires people. Now, if you have a team that's inspired, your job is nothing. Like, I told you, like, I'm the guy who works the least number of hours, but tries to maximize.
So you optimize it in a way that you don't have
the
to.
secret sauce is just this, like you inspire your team, you get them to understand the vision, you get them to buy into it, then you don't have one product manager, you have 15. And everyone is kind of putting on their thinking hat, but you got to teach them. Like, everyone loves to do this, every single person. Forget about your role, forget about whether you're marketing, legal, HR. Everyone likes to synthesize and create insights. But no one tells them you can do it, or no one gives them a platform to do it. And I think for me personally, setting a vision and getting the team on board is pretty much that exercise. And setting a vision, I don't set the vision. I think we do it together, because if me and you do it together, it's first better output. Second, your skin is in the game and my skin is in the game. So it's our product and not, oh, the product manager is coming and telling me to do something. So.
And that's what we are trying to do with AltUni as well. You know, we are trying to build this very skill in a lot of students who are coming up, who are thinking that they can put that thinking hat on of a product manager. And you are a part of one of the programs, advanced product management program that we have run on AltUni. What has been the experience like for you? How do you see that shift in the minds of people right now towards product management in general?
Like, I think the world has evolved so much that now you don't have to be at a company to be a product manager. You can be a product manager at home. Okay, I need to figure out how to automate sprinkling water on my plants. That's a product management problem. I need to do market research. I need to figure out what the problem is. I need to figure out what my requirements are. I need to design a system that actually works. And I need to implement that in the most cost efficient and easy way so that I can go on vacations and not worry about plants. I've still not figured it out, so if anyone has, please let me know. Okay, that's one aspect of it. Another aspect of it is, if you have an idea today, starting a new startup, you call it, or whatever, like your own venture, is so easy compared to what it was 5 years ago. You have the Shopifys, you have the back-end systems, which you can just take and adapt and put it in. Like, it's become so plug and play right now that to get an idea from an idea to product it's just so simple. And so this, I think, is the biggest shift, talking to people. So I feel honored about is to be able to tell people about this, that the fact that you can do it. A lot of people feel like, you know, the world says you can't do it. And I had to work a lot from getting out of I can't do to I can do. And I think what I used, my experience with AltUni was just trying to re-empower people, saying you can go figure it out. Do it yourself. And don't wait for this magical person who will come and recruit you into the most magical firm as a product manager to become a product manager. Start today, start being a product manager in your own life. And then your resume starts to just automatically build and the job just automatically comes. I think it's just a natural, organic process rather than waiting for, this magical letter in Hogwarts, you've been appointed. So it doesn't work like that.
Right, and as you mentioned that as a product manager, you have to take in, you have to soak in that energy and the learning that you get from different products that you're seeing in the market, right? What are some of your favorite right now that you are learning from and think are doing an amazing job in solving a problem?
I think I'll pick one which I'm really passionate about. There's an app called Strava. I do a lot of running, swimming, cycling, triathlons and stuff now. I think they've created a social media that actually empowers. It's actually saying be authentic, and you get rewarded for being authentic and not for being somebody who you're not, or picking those cherry moments of your life and saying, oh, my life is so glorious. I mean, life has ups and downs, and this one's like sports is something like that, right? Going back to why I thought basketball taught me more product management is, when you do sports, you can't be fake. You just have to own up to who you are and just put yourself out there. And whether that's any sport. And what Strava has done is created a community, a network of such people, and which is incredibly empowering. What they do is, let's say I ride my cycle from Banaswadi to here every day. You might ride from Coxtown to here every day. So of course, we're not riding the same route, but there will be overlaps between mine and your route where I can create segments. So they created these segments, and then they said, let's create leaderboards for these segments. So every time you hit that segment, you get a notification, oh, you're on this segment, this is your best time, this is the best time ever by anybody, and now you can try to beat that. Now you see, this is a very smart design because it doesn't rely on me and you writing together at the same time. It doesn't rely on me and you writing in the same route. It relies on just marking specific unique segments and creating a virtual race, pretty much, that's spread across time.
Right.
This was phenomenal. Like, I mean, these are small things, like, especially when you ask, when I as a product manager ask questions on what's your best product, I'm looking for small things, not the big ones, because it gives me as an interviewer the confidence that you're able to pick something that's small and yet has made an impact on you. So this made a massive impact on me because I was like, whoa, I can compete with the rest of the world using this platform, and that motivates me, like, in a positive way.
Right.
So definitely Strava as a product. As a platform, I'm incredibly impressed by UPI. I know it's not a product by one company, it's like the whole government
Right, it's an
initiative.
ecosystem.
But
Yeah.
man, like coming back to India after being abroad for so long and just seeing the way that has changed the entire dynamic of payments is just mind-blowing. And I'm just...
And it has blown minds of many in abroad also, coming in from India, right?
Like, I mean, and it's just the beginning, right? Like, I literally go, when I don't carry cash, a lot of times when I go for long bike rides, but I don't hesitate going to a shop and I'm like, can you give me $200, I'll GPay you the money. So it's become like a global, everyone's an ATM machine now. Like, and it's, I mean, I'm not saying that's a valid use case or anything, I'm just kind of adopting it to my needs, but it just laid the foundation for something where, you know, it's decentralized a lot of the money aspects of it, and I'm sure it'll come out quite well.
Something that we all used thanks to the pandemic that we all faced was also Microsoft Teams along with Zoom. And that's where you also came in, you worked. What was your association like? How involved were you in that project? Just to give you guys context, Ewin has spent 9 years in Microsoft, and that chief of staff role was just a part of his journey with Microsoft. From there he grew in ranks, and he worked actively for the creation of Microsoft Teams. So what was that story like, and why did you guys think that that was the need of the hour, and how did you go about it?
So yeah, going back to that previous narrative I was trying to talk about, which is, Slack was coming up, we need to figure out a face for Office. But I think more than anything, the way we were working was changing dramatically. So there's a marketing slide, but I kind of believe in it, so I'm going to kind of try and lay it down to you. For the first time, people from 4 different generations were working together. And that's difficult because, when you have someone like my father, me, my future kid, doesn't exist, and maybe some other person between me and my father working together in the same environment using the same software, it's hard. Because how do you design that software? And how do you design it? Do you make it so simple? Or do you make it like complicated for the new tech savvy people? How do you find that balance? So that was one big shift that happened. Like everyone was moving online and moving to digital, like different tools. And remote work was becoming, this was pre-COVID, yeah? But we knew that teams were distributed, like they were not all on the same place. So this is the time where staying on video calls was the worst experience in the world. Like you dreaded going on video calls. This was back in the day, we were like, oh my God, like how do we get video calls to be more engaging? And it was very bad, especially if you are the only person dialing in and everyone else is in a conference room, you had a very bad experience. So we needed to figure out, we knew that there was a demand to solve that problem. Up until then, individual work was rewarded and regarded the most. So if you say Outlook is an individual product, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, individual productivity product. But the world is moving, it's changing to a team-based. Now individual has gone in the background. It's moved from I to we. Like the word I built this is kind of getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Like, hey, we built this is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But the software tools hadn't evolved to do the same thing. And so that's why you had Google building a lot on the co-authoring experience, Slack coming up with a team workspace concept and stuff. So all of these were like strong signals from the market that was like, hey, we needed something as Microsoft to kind of spearhead this whole transition. And yeah, and then there were a lot of companies moving from on-prem to cloud, and they needed a strong motivation to move to the cloud. And so how do we kind of create that pull that allows them to say, hey, we want to move to the cloud to get a particular product. So all of this was came together nicely in one vision. So I was a part of that early team that actually formulated this vision in the US. And then I got an opportunity to move to Prague to lead the team that built audio video meetings in Microsoft Teams. So building unified communications product into Microsoft Teams. We had a team in Prague that we got as a part of Skype acquisition who had a lot of experience building audio video AV communication in sense. And so I got the opportunity to go to Prague. So I was like,
from working till this point in Microsoft, creating something so substantial that all of us are using now, to moving to a company which is, I don't know, it's not known to me as much as Microsoft is. I'm talking about Atlassian. You were the group product manager there. What was that move like? Why did you think that it's time now to move from Microsoft to a different company? And what were you building at Atlassian?
So after 8 years at Microsoft, no, 9 years after Microsoft, 8 years, I don't know. I took a year off, a sabbatical, because I was like, I kind of hit my growth trajectory because I had like a goal of getting to a particular level within 7 years, and I made that, and I was like, okay, I don't know what I want to do next, and so I asked them if I can take a year off to figure that out, and they were kind enough to give me that year. So we actually spent cycling, bike packing. So we packed all our stuff, put it on 2 bags, put it on the cycle, and toured around Europe for 6 months and South America for 4 months. It was phenomenal. And then we came back to India to spend a few months with family, and COVID happened. And so it got us some time to think. So up until then, I was like, there's no way I'm coming back to India, because I'd figured out all of these hobbies, and I think I was happy in my bubble in Europe, and I was like, okay, this is good. But my wife, she wanted to come back. And then I was in a stage of life where I was like, let's flow with the things, let's not resist stuff. And I was like, fine, I think let's come back. But I wanted to give India the 100%. Like, I don't want to half-ass it. I don't want to be the guy who comes back and complains about things. I actually want to be the guy who loves the traffic, who loves everything else. And so...
You love the traffic?
I mean, now I do. It's actually beautiful to watch the traffic kind of flow in. It's like order in chaos. That's what I call it. Like, it's beautiful. And it's just perspective. I mean, it depends on how you look. I didn't want to complain, let's put it that way. And so I decided to move. One of my conditions was I wanted a job where I did not have to do late night meetings. I'm not a fan of that. And so I was looking around. And Atlassian just happened. It was kind of like a very magical thing, like where I just spoke to an Xbox, and his cousin was at Atlassian, and she just connected me to some people. And then I started looking up. I knew Atlassian as an Australian-based company, and I was like, if I ever move to Australia, I'll go work for them.
So you kept the doors open.
Yeah, and I mean, and I looked at some of their products earlier on, and I actually liked the product. So I was fond of them, but I didn't know a lot about them. But when this happened, I started looking into them, and man, what a beautiful company. Like, I mean, it's one of those places where I started reading up, and I saw the CEO talk, and I was like, this is one of those places where it's built on values more than anything else. So they have an interview round called Values, where they actually test you on their 4, 5, not test you, they have a conversation with you about their 4, 5 core values. And that's the only round. If you fail, you don't get the job. Anything else you fail, you can still get the job. And that all just lit me up. I was like, wow, there's a company that can actually work with this. And all those things resonated a lot with me, like things like being open, don't mess with the customer, don't build with heart and balance. So don't try to go all in and burn the team out to build something, but build something that you're proud of, but also take into consideration that how you build something is more important than what you build. So a lot of these things are like, oh, this is exactly how I like to operate. Play as a team was one of the values. So, and then Atlassian's at the other end of the spectrum of the Microsoft. Microsoft, this massive company, massive sales force. They go directly to the CEOs and the CFOs and the
And you get to meet them as well.
Yeah, and you sell top down. So I'm sure a lot of you have used Microsoft product without your choice, because somebody decided to buy Microsoft products and just forced it down upon you. I mean, it's a reality. I mean, not that I'm just saying it because that's pretty much their business model, which is very sales driven. And it's great. Like, it works wonders for for their business model, and it's beautiful, and they've acknowledged it. But they want to move to the other end, where they want to build products which customers love, and they kind of find on the internet, and then they try and they buy, and they convince their leadership to buy their products. But they're not there yet. And when you look at Atlassian, that's exactly where they are. So they don't have a sales force. They rely on customers finding their products, loving their products, and then using their products. And then the message goes up the leadership chain saying, hey, let's standardize on Atlassian. And
it's more like a bottom-up
approach. So for me, it was like going from this end of the spectrum to an opportunity to go to the other end of the spectrum. Now again, you see, I got super comfortable at Microsoft, where I knew exactly what to do to move up the ladder, and I was like very comfortable, super chill, work-life balance and stuff. And I was like, okay, this is the perfect opportunity to bring chaos into the system. So I was like, let's put myself into a brand new situation, new country. I mean, not new country, coming back to India, and new work environment, new people. And it was a blast because it's like you're looking at the same problem from another lens.
Right.
So now your perspective is so much more wider, because now you can pick and choose the good stuff from here. And the good stuff, there's no good, bad. Like what you like from here and what you like from here, and create your own kind of.
Absolutely. This year's theme of Conversations Cafe is the $1 million skill, right? Product management, I think, comes in as one of those skills. But what, according to you, are the skills or that $1 million skill that people should acquire in their lives right now to be set for the next 10, 15, 20 years that are coming?
I don't think it's a skill, but I would say it's a mindset called the growth mindset. There's a phenomenal book written on it. Why I'm saying it's not a skill but a mindset is because skills are going to change. Different things are going to come, different things are going to, like, honestly, am I good at any skill? I don't think so, but I definitely am very proud of my growth mindset, which is in the sense of I don't take no for an answer, and I don't for myself. And I'm willing to put myself in situations that are uncomfortable because I know that's the only way to grow. And in the book, they say, I'll just paraphrase a little bit on that. Like, you look at the Michael Jordans and the Roger Federers and the Lewis Hamiltons, and you go like, oh, they're gifted people. They were born like that. No, nobody is born like that. Like, I've read all of their biographies, and they have put in hours and hours and hours of work to get to where they are, primarily because of a growth mindset, because they fundamentally believe that they can get better at what they do if they put in a little bit more effort. And this is what I live my life by, which is, because every day there's a new skill, new thing to learn, new technology, new trend, new so on and so forth. And you get attached to one, that's kind of like slowing down. But if you basically say, no, I'm just going to build this tool set to apply myself to anything and figure it out, that's an invaluable skill. Then you become a product manager, an engineer, a doctor, a finance expert, a marketing expert. It's the same thing.
Superb. Thank you very much, Ewin, for this amazing session. I'm going to open up to the audience. They have already clapped, so I don't know if they have questions. They have? Okay.
My name is Vishwajit. I'm an engineering undergrad. So my question is this. You had spoken about how inspiring the team makes your work a lot easier as a product manager. But I personally feel that inspiration is a very subjective topic. So what is the more pragmatic and actionable things that you do as a product manager to inspire a team?
So I think there's a philosophy where I think everybody brings something to the table, not one person. There's no like one leader who's figured it out, or like depending on where on the leaf node, like on the structure, hierarchical structure you are, it's not like, oh, the guys on top have figured it. Trust me, no one has figured it out. And inspiration comes from acknowledging this and including everybody into the whole process of the vision setting. So like if I set a vision and give it to you, clearly that's a subjective conversation on whether you'll be inspired or not. But if I actually include you in my setting the vision process, where I actually genuinely believe you have something to deliver, like contribute to this, and I involve you, and we talk about it and we dance, and we kind of come up with that vision, inspiration is a consequence. So it's not like something that I'm striving for, it becomes a consequence of the way or how I do things. And once that happens, dude, like I don't have to tell you what to do, you don't have to tell me what to do. Like we came up with this dance together, and you know your part, I know my part, and we kind of go play these parts. And that's you see, then it's a consequence and not something like, oh, I need to do X, Y, Z to inspire you, because you come with a completely different background, different mindset, different priorities. Like an engineer, like when I talk to my engineering counterpart, they have different priorities. They time to execution, technical feasibility, is it possible, is it not, are we really solving a customer problem? These are their questions. My questions are, if you build something, how future-proof is it? How well is it solving a customer problem? Are we differentiated in the market? And if you ask a designer, their point of views are very different. If you talk to the marketing person, their point of view is very different. One is not better than the other here. Like, I think if you figure out a way to amalgamate all of this into the vision setting process, inspiration becomes a consequence. Like, then you're naturally inspired to do because it's your baby. Like,
my question is this: I could like connect a lot with you. Apart from clearing JEE, I didn't clear that. So how do we get into like basic associate product manager roles or product manager roles, especially from Tier 3 college where we don't have where we don't have positions opens for product manager also. There's only SD roles.
yeah, great question. Lots of times I've heard this. I mean, the question is, how do you get into product management, especially when you're not from, college where the companies go to hire directly from. So, like, I kind of say, this is going back to something that I said during the talk, which is, you don't have to wait to become a product manager. Become a product manager today. Like, figure out things in your life that you can do. Because see, fundamentally, you got to build the confidence that you can do what product management requires. Only then will you get the job application or even like get in. And so, for example, like if I were to build a resume, and I'm scanning resumes of all these candidates that I want to hire, I'm going to look for, do you actually have product experience? Like, actually, have you gone out and spoken to customers and figured out a problem, figured out a solution, and actually converted it into a product? Now, of course, that product may not have to be a super hit app store app or anything of that sort, but did you go all the way to actually do the end-to-end cycle and figure out what it takes? And once you do that a couple of times, and this can be small things, big things, like there was this, like, whether even some passion project of yours, but if you are able to articulate it from a product lens, those are things that shine in a resume. And that's one aspect, which is what I mean by saying is, don't wait to become a product manager, become a product manager, and then the job will come to you. The second is, MBA is definitely a route, but you ask me if it's required, I don't think so. But it just gives you an opportunity again to expose yourself to these companies. Third, in the beginning, don't be so rigid about, I want to be this product manager or that product manager. Like, be a little bit more open, because it's so fluid that you really have to figure out your style, your area, your expertise. Be open to any opportunity that comes your way. Even if it's not product management, use it as an opportunity to dive into there are so many people who I worked with who joined as an engineer or a non-product skill, maybe in marketing, but then they involved themselves proactively so much with the product team that they themselves said, hey, why don't you become a product manager? And that started a career. Like, once you get that title and you're in a company, then it just opens up doors, yeah? Like, it completely opens up doors. So it's basically like, don't close doors before you open them.
You have this, have fun kind of personality and chilled out personalities, but especially in India, working environment will be very stressful, and do corporates really encourage that? And do they allow you to go in your way, and you're confident that you'll figure it out, but do they actually encourage that?
I don't give them the permission to tell me what to do. So I think I truly believe that, right? Because if you give your power to someone else, then you are a victim. But if you don't give the power to someone else and say, boss, I'll do my work, but I'll do it my way. And it's win-win situation. Like you see, if I'm doing something, taking something away from you, then you have something to complain about. But if I'm doing something without taking away something from you, there's no problem. And so I get this question a lot, especially from folks that I worked with in India after coming back, as like, how are you having fun and working? I'm like, yeah, that's what I want to do. And I genuinely believe that if you don't give away the control to somebody else, I don't care. I feel confident you put me in any company right now, I will still continue to have fun and work. Because I don't want to give that power away to anybody. Now, I totally understand that there are situations where you are in a company where it's not very free and open and stuff like that. But again, ask yourself, there's just so many options today where you might want, if having fun is a priority, prioritize it. You might have to let go of certain things that you thought were important to you, but it's not. And then once you start having fun, everything else will just happen naturally. That's what I believe. Like, when work becomes fun, money, status, fame, everything becomes a consequence, not the goal, because now it's just fun. Make sense?
Yeah.
I don't want to be meta about this. I think I want to be very practical, and I can share practical examples of what I do. But fundamentally, going back to, don't give another person the power to tell you what to do. So I think that's
Because you're a human being and not a television or a washing machine.
exactly.
All right. Thank you very much, guys. I hope you enjoyed this session. I really enjoyed talking to Ewin. He has an energy and a charm with him, and I hope that it was helpful for you guys. I hope that it's helpful for the audience who's watching us on YouTube. Do ask questions in the comment section. Ewin, will you answer?
Absolutely. For sure. Like, thank
Lovely.
you so much.
You must be thinking another pre-roll? Wait, let me just skip it. With AltUni, there are some boring things which you can avoid, like the long wait for promotions or increments, or the numerous interviews before you land your dream job. At AltUni, we make sure that you're future ready and skilled to be in the top 0.5% class. Click on the link in the description now.